Hey guys, welcome to Respiratory 3260. This is one of our skill videos and equipment videos for the lab. So we'll begin. I'm going to start, this video is specifically for intubation and airway management of an orally intubated infant. So first we're going to go through our equipment we have laid out here. We first have an appropriate sized ET tube. And unlike me, you would keep this in the package so that it remains clean for being inserted invasively into the neonate. Some things I want you guys to note. There are our markings, just like with an adult ET tube, and our radio-opaque line. A big thing, most of the facilities with the manufacturer bought in our area here in the Salt Lake area and Utah area is the positioning of the airway is more important than with an adult, and we'll go over that when we get into intubation. So we have our properly sized ET tube for our infant, our stylet, our laryngoscope and Miller blade. We mostly only use Miller blades for the neonatal and pediatric population, and this is because the cartilage has not formed quite like it is with an adult. You will need to have some type of suction involved when you intubate an infant. And then end-tidal CO2, whatever is needed for your facility. This is an end-tidal box that is reusable. And then this piece of equipment is disposable. And we have a filter here that attaches to the top in that little hole. But you will use whatever the facility you have. And then this will attach to the end of your neopuff. Let me grab that. And then it can attach either to a mask that you are going to use to provide positive pressure ventilation to your baby, or to the end of an endotracheal tube. Either way, once this is turned on, you will be able to get an end-tidal CO2 reading through this line so that you can confirm placement. But again, each facility is a little bit different, so just be aware of what each facility uses. This is one example of an end-tidal CO2. A tape measure so that you can measure the exact depth your endotracheal tube is in. And then if the pediatric or neonatal patient is big enough, this is just me, personal preference. I like this barrier film for when I do place an endotracheal tube or any type of sticky on a baby's face, or any type of, I'm just going to use the term baby, sorry guys, any type of baby's face, because not only does it protect the skin, but it also makes it sticky, so it sticks really well. Micro preemies, such as anywhere from 23 to 26 weeks, this is contraindicated, but anything above 26 weeks, you can use this. And then last is our securing device. And again, this is facility dependent. There's more than one way to skin a cat when it comes to securing an endotracheal tube. I'm going to show you the method I use, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's the only method or the only correct method. Whatever is used to make sure that the airway stays secure and reduces breakdown, and whatever they found at whatever facility you're at works best, is the one that's best. I'm just going to show you in this video my method. I do it with 2 pieces of what's called elasticon tape. Ooh. And I kind of cut them so that it's in a Y, or high-waisted lady pants shape. And as much as I was a stickler in your last classes about making your patients look good and look nice, I am 10 times worse with newborns. Just to warn you guys. The last, you can have a duoderm mustache if you are working with a micropreemie to prevent breakdown or any of that tape getting on and tearing the skin. we will sometimes use this. In this video, I will apply it to this patient, to this baby, but if you have a term kid or someone a little older, it might not be necessary. But little itty bitty micropreemies such as 26 weeks and less, you will want a duoderm barrier to protect the skin. Okay, just as with any intubation, any invasive, we want to make sure that our equipment is working properly, we're using good clean technique, and we have backup. So, for example, having some type of resuscitator available. So I will show you guys. We will place our stylet. Make sure it doesn't come out the end. Bend it. And depending on who is intubating, you can shape this however you want. I know some people will do it straight, so it's like an arrow going into the airway, or some people like a sharp bend, like this, and others like a small bend. So before I show you guys the intubation process, I want to show you the bevel. So note that, let's get into focus. The bevel. The reason why we worry about where our numbers and the radiopaque line are is because it positions the bevel. One thing with babies is that they are a little more sensitive to small changes. So we want to make sure that the bevel is facing towards the back of the trachea. So we have our numbers down, our radiopaque line to the left, so that the bevel sits in the back of the trachea and we can properly ventilate both the right and left lung, and we're not over-ventilating one over the other for the position of the bevel. So when we intubate, we will have our baby in a neutral position. You can put them in a slight sniffing position, but don't hyperextend the head or else it will close off the airway. So you will take your equipment that's already checked and clean in packaging, unlike me at the moment, and your endotracheal tube. And a little trick is it's more of a delicate procedure, so use your fingers more than you would use any other. So we'll enter into the mouth, directly lift the epiglottis, we can see in there, and then place your endotracheal tube. Pull it out, close your blade, sorry, that was loud. Pull your stylet, and then your second helper will apply the end tidal CO2 and provide positive pressure ventilation to check for end tidal, to make sure for one confirmation of endotracheal tube placement. Others will be mist up the tube, chest rise, and number one will be increase in heart rate if the heart rate is down. Babies are a lot more sensitive to ventilation changes than adults. So now, while I position this baby so you guys can see a little bit better, we are going to talk about tube placement. There is a rule called the rule of 6, where it is not, you want to make sure you confirm placement with a chest x-ray and adjust as needed from your chest x-ray. But the rule of 6 kind of gives you a range of where you could possibly be safely. What it is you take the baby's weight in grams and plus 6, and that is the proper placement on your tube. So for example, let's say we have a 2-kilogram baby. So we're 2,000 grams. We will take that 2,000 grams, or we'll just make it easy, 2 kilograms plus 6. So we will want to secure this at 8 at the lip. One way the tape comes into place, you can measure. Say we are going to use this 14. There's a 14 right here on the tube. We are going to do some math, take in centimeters our measuring tape and subtract. So 17 You gotta do it the right way. So we have 14, and we'll line it up, and then we'll do some math. So this kind of takes a little bit of practice. So you'll line it up against your tube and to the corner of the mouth and measure. So the 5 and the 14 are lining up right here. So we will subtract 5 centimeters from 14 centimeters, and that will give us 9 centimeters. So we would say this baby is 9 centimeters deep is where our tube is located. We will adjust our tube so that it is radiopaque line to the left, numbers down. And once we get all those confirmations, I'm gonna turn the baby so I can show you guys securing one method of securing an endotracheal tube. If it's indicated, you can now apply your skin barrier to the top of the lip and whatever side you're going to secure it on. And then I just wave it a little. And it's okay to have somebody hold while you're doing this process. So next, we're gonna use the duoderm, for example, so you guys can see that. See, I kind of cut it almost like a little oven pan, like it's on the oven, or a little mustache, however you want to call it. Gonna undo our duoderm. And you're gonna put it so one side is on the cheek. Here, I'm gonna move that, sorry. This was not safe practice for handling an ET tube. I'm sorry, guys. Put it on the cheek. Bring it across the lip. I'm gonna make sure we are secured at 9. And somebody is holding my tube. I have a helper holding my tube. Gonna take my first piece of tape. You kind of gotta get a little crazy with your hands here. Put the corner right where it's cut at the corner of the mouth. Bring the tape. It's best to either go straight out, or I like to go up a little bit, because that way as it kind of starts messing in and the baby gets hot, we have humidity on, it will stay up and in proper position. This first piece comes across on top of the duoderm, and again up. Next, you take your tube. This is when, if I have a helper, a person that just intubated, it is at this point that I'll say, I'm going to take the tube from you, and we clearly communicate that so that there's always some type of hand on the endotracheal tube. I make sure we are at the 9, and you can actually visualize it in the mouth. And then I wrap it around on the sticky twice. And then I bring it back over onto this cheek. Next, I kind of pinch things down to make it look nice. And before I apply my second tape, I measure again, just to make sure I am in the right place. Oh, don't drop your baby. Don't drop the babies. You're in the right place. So, for example, I would find the mark. Let's say we have 11 right here. Sorry. I would measure. So 11, and then we have 2 centimeters. So that means we would still be at 9, and we would be in proper placement. Okay. Okay. Next, we take the second piece of tape. It's real sticky, just to warn you guys. This is bad alley practice. I have a really hard time securing endotracheal tubes with gloves on, so I wash my hands really good before and really good after, because with gloves this stuff just sticks like crazy. Okay, next you will take your lady pants, open it up nice and wide like this, put that right in the corner, tape it down, tape the big fat piece down, wrap this top band around once, and bring it up over the top here. Make sure that lays nice. And then I will take the bottom piece and wrap it around twice. And while I'm doing it, I'm really pinching around that tube to make sure it stays solid. Really pinching. So after I come around twice, I'll bring it down. If you need to, if you cut this too long, you can trim it. But word of advice, don't trim to the point of it all just being one line. Especially if it staggers, it stays better. So that is securing the endotracheal tube, intubation. Keys I want to remind you guys on are ventilation is key. If heart rate is down, if your baby is really struggling, it's best to provide bag mask ventilation than to try your hardest to get the tube in. Always have a second person, unlike in this video, to help hold your airway. Some people will hold in the mouth up against the roof of the mouth. That's one way you can hold. I prefer to pinch and then I grab the chin. That's my method. Again, you guys will learn from your preceptors, and when you guys get on the job, work with what works for you. So yeah, there's pinch in the top of the mouth. I prefer to pinch higher on the tube and then grab the chin so that my hand is stuck to the baby, but I can get a visual of the mouth. And then you'll find other methods. So that is oral intubation and securing and managing an endotracheal tube. And we will see you guys in lab. Good job.